Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome to another episode. Hold on one second. Okay, sorry about that. Well, welcome to the recap. Welcome to everybody in the skybox, in the balcony, the bushes. Welcome. Of course, this is a show where we recap any and everything that happened this week, mainly in the news, politics, or whatever, or anything else you guys want to discuss. That's where we're at this point. Let's just run down some things. One, of course, always be respectful to everybody in the room. That's a given. Anybody wanting to pop on and discuss something, of course, that will be in the chat. You just make sure you click it. And I just ask, of course, that you be respectful at all times. And we should be good. Other than that, what else? And give it a thumbs up. That's about it. That's all. It's pretty cut and dry. So let's talk about first. Ask your thoughts on so many things, from the FedEx driver to Mitch McConnell. Basically telling you guys that he's not doing another stimulus package that will include an extension of unemployment benefits, that extra that 16 or $600 bonus. He's not doing it. How you feel about that? How do you feel about him not doing unemployment at all? The Volkswagen commercial that recently just popped up. That was a good one. Of course, the person who videotaped the murder of Ahmaud Arbery is now behind bars as well. Get your thoughts on that. Joe Biden talking to Charlemagne the God. We'll talk about that a little bit. And did you know that there was a flag for minor attracted people, otherwise known as pedophiles? They actually have a flag for that. I just found that out today. So we'll talk about that. So let's get into it. First, welcome to everybody who's popped on. Queen Diva, how you doing? Purple Power, how you doing? Jay Dunn, what's up? And Steve Gibson, what's going on? All right, so let's get into it. First, we'll talk about the FedEx driver. I don't know if any of you guys have seen it. The video where the FedEx driver was harassed by, I'm not even sure if it was a neighbor or if it was the actual person he was delivering packages to. He was on the man's lawn, I guess. And so the owner said some threatening words and demeaned him, called him a boy and all kinds of stuff. And then, of course, after he finished and got the man, angry, he then wanted to cut on his camera while the FedEx driver had another driver in the truck with him that he was training, and he was recording as well. So thank God for that. But so they went back and forth with words. The white gentleman, of course, called the police. There was a report that FedEx had fired them. FedEx had now made a statement that they were hired, the delivery men were hired through a third party, and that they are still employed with FedEx. But we all know how third party things work. FedEx could say they're employed, but the third party, almost like a temp agency, can still fire these gentlemen. So we'll stay abreast to that to see what happens. Of course, FedEx put out a statement that they do not tolerate any kind of discrimination towards either the delivery drivers towards the customers or vice versa. So we'll see what happens in that case. The gentleman who was in the truck actually recording it has put out a tweet saying that they were fired. FedEx has then asked the gentleman to take it down, and then he wound up putting it back up. So don't know what's going to happen with that case. That'll be interesting to check out and watch. Moving past that, so we have the early release of Michael Cohen and Paul Manafort. They're actually in federal prison right now. And due to the coronavirus, a lot of people have gotten get out of jail free cards. However, it's been a lot of white men, not necessarily any of us. So that seems to start to bring up, of course, the conversation again of incarceration and the rates between whites and blacks who are incarcerated and the level of crime compared to the sentencing and who gets special treatment, who doesn't. What's his name? Michael Cohen, who was the ex-lawyer of Donald Trump, who hadn't even served in federal prison. You're supposed to serve a certain amount of time before you can even be considered for early release. And he hasn't gone nowhere near that. He was supposed to serve 3 years of his sentence. He has barely served, I think, a year. But he is being considered for release. He's actually going to be released sometime this week or next week because of his health condition or health conditions and the coronavirus being in the facility where he's at. As well as Paul Manafort, who was also federally charged with crimes as far as lying to the FBI and Congress, so on and so forth. He has already been released. He was released this week. And he was supposed to do some years. He is released this week, and he will be remaining on house arrest, basically being confined to his house. So it's just crazy. And it's crazy that these people have money and are able to do this. Of course, these are white men, because then if the argument is, well, if you have money, you could do this, well, then where is Bill Cosby? However, Bill Cosby is still incarcerated. So I don't know. What's good for the goose is good for the gander in a lot of instances in this case. So we'll see how that goes. If Bill Cosby gets out, we'll see. Not sure. From that, like I said, the gentleman who videotaped Ahmaud Arbery's death, he has now been put in custody and has been arrested. So question to the chat. What do you guys think about that? Do you think that the guy who videotaped this should be in jail right now? The reports are that he actually lied during his interrogation about the events of that particular day. Apparently, he himself blocked. He was like following Ahmaud Arbery as he was leaving that property that he was inspecting or whatever, looking at. He followed him and was blocking him until the gentleman, I guess, got their guns and continued on, and and then that situation happened. So when he started videotaping from behind, they had sped past him. Like he was the one, I guess, following him and keeping track and probably letting them know, hey, he's going so-and-so, he's going here, he's going there. And then when he saw them, when they got their guns or whatever and flew past him, then he began recording from behind. So that's what they say the investigation shows, that he actually was a part of that situation. He should be in jail. He should have been in jail a long time ago, but that's a whole nother, they'll do anything to save themselves. I think personally, he was taking it as something to show the boys. personally, I think he got really nervous once it really hit home that stuff was happening, and then he released it or gave it to the lawyer for the lawyer to release the video, and thinking that his hands was clean in the matter. Um, he felt like he needed to do this. Just speculation, not particularly sure, but so we'll see. Um, Granted, I think he was complicit in his murder, and so he should be charged as such. Granted, he may not have shot the man, but you participated in everything else. You followed him um, until the good old boys, got their guns to hunt him down. Then you recorded it, and you probably just recorded it to show your boys and show your friends. And you can tell that it is that type of atmosphere that this family does, because I believe it's the sister of the son. I think it's the daughter of the father. She took a picture of his body and posted it up on her Snapchat. Like, she was taking pictures of his body and stuff and posted it on her Snapchat. And her excuse was that she likes true crimes, which is a show, I guess, on is it the ID Network or something like that? Don't quote me, but I think it's the ID Network, or what's the other one? Oh gosh, can't think of it. But anyway, it's a show like First 48 or something like that. She says she's an avid watcher of shows like that. That is why she happened to uh, take pictures of this young man's body and put it on there. They are, yes, of course, Brother Nate, as you mentioned, they are actually doing a campaign of, as they always do, assassinate the character to make the person who has been the victim of their violence, of their thuggery, to, well, there's a reason why, or this is validation to what they did, even though it happened years ago. And even in the character assassination, they can't quite pinpoint him being a problem. Even in the video that they show, the police officer, he's standing by his car. The police officer came up to him and started asking him questions. Now, whether the police officer believed that he should be in the area or not, again, that has a lot to do with how you view someone. You know what I'm saying? If you see them, if you're not asking, hey, sir, do you need some help? Is there something wrong? And he says, no, he's waiting for someone, or whatever he may say. Why do you not keep it moving? Why do you feel the need to continuously ask these questions? There was a report that the tasing that they're trying to show now with confrontation with Ahmaud Arbery. How you doing, Fresh Prince? What's up? That the video that they're showing now with Ahmaud Arbery getting tased, the officer said that because he saw his veins in his. Your camera is fuzzy and blurry. Is it? Oh, okay. Well, hold on a second. Thanks for that. I don't know why. Hold on one second. Let's see if I can fix this. Give me 1 second, because one of my friends just texted me and said my camera is fuzzy and bluzzy, so I just want to make sure I check that. Hold on. We still can everybody see me? Put a 1 in the chat if you can see me. If it's not blurry, put a 2 if it's blurry or something, because it might just be StreamYard and the camera, because I'm using my laptop. So if there is an issue, it's probably StreamYard, because I usually don't have an issue otherwise. So please let me know. It's frozen. Okay. All right. Um, yeah, it's StreamYard. I don't know what's going on. Sorry about that. Let me see something. Hey, are we still freezing? I just refreshed it and came back. So let me know if I'm still freezing. Okay. Let me check this. Oh, you know what? Let me. Okay, thank you. So yeah, where was I? Yeah, so the gentleman who participated in this assassination of Amana Abreu is in jail, and of course now, as they always do, they are trying to assassinate the character of this man by thank you everyone, by of course saying that he's always been in trouble with the law and so on and so forth, which to me they always do this to us, and that's the part that gets under my skin, as many things do, as you guys can tell sometimes, especially when it comes to this, because with them it's always a mental health thing. It's always, oh, you know they've had some issues with their mental health, they had some issues with their well-being and so forth and so on, and blah blah blah. But with us it's always, well, their criminal past has led them to this moment, which I really, you can't really equate the two. Um, Someone is, jogging and happens to stop at a different location to look at it. The owner, who actually said that, they didn't take anything, and I never asked that neighbor to look out for my property and or take it upon himself to defend my property if I'm not there. So it's a lot of stuff going on with that I just find it to be a bit of an issue. And on the lines of that, I don't know if you all have been familiar with. I've talked about this story for some time too. Um, Brianna Taylor, who was the decorated EMT worker who was shot 8 times in her apartment while this drug task force broke into her place, and you know, unannounced. They didn't announce themselves. They were in the wrong apartment. Her boyfriend, who is also licensed to carry, fired back, thinking that there was, an intruder in their place, and he was defending her. He was arrested and charged with attempted murder. Um, the prosecutors now, however, are dialing that back. They have released him, but they haven't. They're going to. It says they're going to take the charges back and not charge him with attempted murder. And that could be from all of the news around what happened and the huge mistake that the department did. So, although people say, oh, they get tired of this, or, it's just this easy Google search or whatever, but circulating stories like this is actually giving attention to situations that would go unnoticed. And some people would be sitting in jail right now at this moment due to what is going on. So, um, I definitely applaud the fact that uh, it's changing. It's making changes. Yeah, they're happening slow and steady, which we really don't have time for. But change. There are some changes happening due to all of this media presence and viral videos and things of that nature. So, thank God for that. That gentleman will be home with his family. You know, probably still grieving over the loss of his girlfriend and trying to move on with his life. So, and the family is suing the city as well for wrongful death. They're suing the police department as well as the city. So hopefully they come out on top with that. Of course, it won't bring back their loved one, but hey, you do actions, you gotta pay for it. I mean, it's just the same way they look at us when you do crime. Well, you gotta do the time, kind of thing. It's the same thing. So hopefully, that family gets justice. I want that. Hey, what's going on? Welcome, everybody that's coming into the chat. And then let's talk about this Volkswagen commercial. I don't know if anybody's seen it. Has everybody seen the Volkswagen commercial where the word black or nigga in what Dutch and Latin is spelled out in it? But I mean, the characteristics of the commercial are a little offensive to me. I mean, yeah, I think at some points we are a little hypersensitive, but then some things, the symbolism is just there and it's really in front of your face. And I just think that was a bit much. If you haven't seen it, I think I can share it real quick. Let me see. It's up here somewhere. Let's see. Let's see. Is that it? Okay, now I don't want to play. Okay, well now it doesn't want to play, so never mind. We won't do that. But anyway, it doesn't want to play. But anyway, it was playing earlier, so that's why I was like, oh, I'll hold on to it. But it depicts a black gentleman getting out of his Volkswagen, and this white hand, kind of almost like the hand of God type thing, moving him around and then plucking him into this door. But as he goes to do the plucking with this white hand, it spells out, like when they jumble the words to kind of spell out whatever the car is. The first couple of words that are forming are the words Neger, or Negger, something like that. So at first I'm like, I mean, but the symbolism of it all was kind of enough for me to say, yeah, it's an undertone, but it definitely is very much racism. That's just like H&M some whiles back had the young English black boy in a monkey t-shirt. Now, I do understand that European blacks really don't have the same views as a lot of American blacks when it comes to racism and all that kind of stuff, because it's different. Yet it is the same, but it is still different. So a lot of them don't share the same views. Like, for example, the young lady who played Harriet in the Harriet Tubman movie, she had some views as far as what is the name of the car? Hold on one second. It's a Volkswagen something. Volkswagen, the new Golf 8 was the name of the car. It was a Volkswagen Golf 8, if you want to check out that commercial. So anyway, oops. Oh yeah, sorry. Back out of there. So yeah, it's a lot. Like, we may not see race as other people see it, but there needs to be some sort of uniformity of understanding. You may not see it the same way. We may come from different, you may come from one side of the pond, I may be on the other, but just being respectful, and kind of understanding and watching the things that you're displaying. I mean, literally, it's a white hand guiding this little black man, because the hand is bigger than the black person. The black person's like a little dot, almost like the hand of God, moving this black man along, and then gets the black man by the door and does that with his finger, like, get in there. And I didn't like it. I thought it was very distasteful. Volkswagen has apologized for the ad, but again, how many times are people going to apologize? You had Volkswagen, you had Gucci with the blackface lips, with the turtleneck that had lips that almost resembled blackface on them, and so forth and so on. And then it's like, they apologize, and then we go back to normal. And I just don't, I just think, obviously in the marketing department, there is nobody's looking at it as anything to possibly do with race. It is basically just, throw it out there. And then when you get feedback, it's, we didn't know it was offensive, or we didn't see it was offensive. And I think there needs to be more attention paid to things of that nature. They all assume that Christian will not be seen in the States. Right. And that too. They a lot of times assume that the commercials won't be seen in the States, Brother Nate. You're actually right. But in this day and age, even still, I wouldn't put it, I would still keep that in mind. Even if I am a foreign country and think, it's probably won't go to the States, know that everything is viral. So you want to be mindful, because it could affect, because it still may affect the sales that the company has, period, overall. So, always want to be mindful. Right. And controversy does increase sales, but it also can decrease sales too. So that's not, either way, it's almost like a toss up with that. So, you never know with that. Right. And moving right along from that, some news for R. Kelly. I just found this out today. But a judge ruled that R. Kelly's herpes could put the public at risk. Basically, there's R. Kelly's lawyer, Stephen Greenberg, is trying to challenge a section of law, which is Section 2307, which has been in the books since 1943. And this law makes it a crime if a person has an infectious venereal disease and has sex with another person and does not inform them. Now, I did not know. I know there's a law, but nor did I know that the law has been enacted since 1943, and people have been going around infecting people with sexually transmitted diseases for a while, and nothing. So to know that it is illegal to do that, and there have been a lot of people who have not been charged, is interesting. However, R. Kelly's lawyers are trying to argue that indeed that should not be an extra charge added to it. He's been charged with this new charge lingering about him giving a sexually transmitted disease as herpes to not only two women, but possibly an underage female as well. So I think that's kind of where it all kind of is attaching itself to his case with his sex trafficking and the racketeering and all that he has going on. So looks like it's going to be more stuff for him. I'm not sure if he is going to try to use the coronavirus as a way to get out of jail too. Who knows? That's a wait and see game. I'm sure his lawyers have probably discussed it at some point. Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome to the chat. Hey, Miss T Velocity, how you doing? Rico the Brat, what's going on? And Doreen, how you doing? So yeah, I don't know. I mean, R. Kelly, I can't with R. Kelly. I just need R. Kelly to go sit down. I get it. You have done this for so many years. You've gotten away with it. But at this point, yeah, the chickens come home to roost, and nobody can back you. Your your money's not long enough at this point anymore to protect you, so you're kind of stuck. Um, that's all. I don't know what else to say about that man. I can't. Yeah, and the fact that, again, like I said, the law has been the law since 1943 is ridiculous, and that more people have not been charged with giving herpes to others unknowingly and things of that nature is a whole nother argument that needs to be definitely discussed and handled, because I think a lot of people could say that they've been in those type of situations where somebody did not tell them that, what was going on with them, and they proceeded, and come to find out, then you have something and all that kind of stuff, although it is hard to probably pinpoint. But I mean, if you test yourself regularly, you can kind of track that. um, so I don't know, I just find it to be a bit crazy, um, to say the least. How about that? What else do we have? Okay, so now let's get into the nuts and bolts of this. I told you guys a while back that, of course, a lot of things will start happening. People will start saying things, and it'll try to detract and take out certain things and pieces of what people say as far as this election is concerned, to get people to start turning away, or um, really drawing attention to the words people said. Now, sometimes the politician don't need no help from the media because they do it themselves. Um, this in case being Joe Biden. He did a interview with Charlemagne the God. They talked about the crime bill and a whole bunch of other things. And of course, he got to a point where he always does. He says something a little off color. Um, I basically call him the nicer Trump, uh, almost like a spoonful of sugar that people can swallow. Um, and I think that's where the Democratic Party is kind of pushing him to be that person. So when he says stuff like, he recently, like I said, had an interview and said, if you vote for Trump, then you aren't black. Any Democrats or black person that votes for Trump, you ain't black. He has now changed his, apologized for that statement and said that it was off color and he shouldn't have said it, and, all these things. I personally look at him like that grandfather that you just be like, don't say that, almost like, I don't know if any of you remember, it was a gospel, like a white gospel group or whatever, and they was trying to, I guess, appeal to the younger people, and so they did this rap about Jesus being their homie. I'll say that, about Jesus being their homie kind of mess. And yeah, I don't see it. I get his wanting to just be himself and be authentically him. But he does have that grandpa kind of mentality, like, grandpa could say anything crazy. Uh, Grandpa be talking about, hey boy, hey homie, and you be like, whoa, grandpa, don't, especially, that grandpa would, be like, whoa, yeah, you might not want to say that. Just say his name, and that's it. Um, I don't know. Do I think it'll affect his numbers? Not sure. Um, of course. What's his face? Uh, what is his name? A lot of pundits had something to say about the off color of his statement. He, I was trying to read his exact statement. He said he should not have been so cavalier, and he should never, 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 never take the African American community for granted. I mean, that could be said for the Democratic Party as a whole, period. But what can you say? Yeah, I mean, I personally just think he's a nicer Trump. I think he says things off color all the time. I think he gives, he is that same person that gives that group that's kind of, they don't really like us, but they just tolerate, but it's not as vile as the, his core group, those in-betweeners. He gives the in-betweeners the cushion. He's the cover for the in-betweeners. The in-betweeners before didn't have nowhere to go. It was vote for Hillary or, vote for him. So they just went him. They didn't really see it for Hillary at all for whatever reason. I think, mainly because she was a woman, and that's male and female alike. I don't think it was just a male thing. I think a lot of females felt that they didn't want to see a woman president, that a woman can't be president, or it's not a job for a woman. And they went with Trump. I think Biden is that ticket for them to where they feel comfortable enough to vote for him. He's a white male, older, and he does, no matter how transformative he may be in a lot of his thoughts, his base core is kind of still in that, you stay over there, I've been over here. That's kind of how we've always done this kind of mentality that a lot of people are comfortable with. Yes, he was Barack Obama's running mate, but he was only Barack Obama's running mate to smooth the fact that the black man was running for president over with the rest of the nation in the middle of the country, who did not see it for this black man running to be in the White House. He spoke their language. He said things that, especially when they were running against each other and he wasn't even picked at that point, and they were all on the campaign trail trying to get the nomination. Biden had said some off-color stuff about Barack, just as harsh as Hillary and Bill had. So it wasn't it wasn't that type of marriage. I mean, granted, it may have, over 8 years, I'm sure it grew into something more, but it was definitely so it can, comfort and quiet the middle section of the nation. So with all that said, because I know that was a mouthful, but with all that said, I just think that, yeah, he needs to, or his team needs to really get him together and just kind of get him, I don't know, in some sort of alignment in which those things can't really be said. I mean, you could have said other things than to say, if you don't vote for him and you vote for Trump, then you aren't black. Maybe you don't vote in your interests or something along those lines. But to say somebody who is African American, if they choose not to vote for you because they don't agree with you, then they aren't black, that's a bit much. I mean, for him to say, we sometimes, we'll call each other sellout or something like that. But I just thought it was a bit like, ooh, you don't want to say that. And again, because of the fact that the Democratic Party has helped him clinch the nomination, just be more mindful. It's you don't want to get, and this is a problem Hillary had. You get this entitled kind of ideology that, oh, you're gonna win, you're gonna get the ticket, you're gonna get the votes, and done deal, just because people have showed up in one state that you needed, that they're just always going to show up. Case in point, even with Hillary, she may have won the popular vote, which I think it should be a one and done with that. But she did not win the Electoral College votes because she just couldn't, she couldn't get it. She focused her attention on thinking that, one, she had the black vote. She didn't need to go here because she had their vote. She didn't need to go there because she had their vote, and so on and so forth, and kind of, done herself in. So I don't know. They need to kind of get it together and really tighten it up, because he's not doing great as far as this coronavirus and his overall, just how he's run his administration, things that they have going on. But at the same time, though, if Biden does not show much greater than Trump, people will not vote. They won't, they won't mail in no ballots. They definitely not going to go out and risk catching the virus by voting. So something needs to happen, to where in which there needs to be a definite push to get him to tone it way, way, way down, and be less grandpa and a little more presidential, because that's the ticket that you're going for. At this point, we have a president right now that is not presidential and really doesn't know how to be a president and be the president of everyone. And that's all we need you to do right now. Like, don't fuck it up at this point. It's too early in the game to mess it up. And the fact that we're not really doing anything right now because of this, and we're in quarantine. So we're really focusing on what you're saying, what you're doing, all that stuff, because we have no choice. So at this point, I need you to be more presidential. And I don't care who you're talking to. You could be talking to Charlemagne the God. You don't need to act like, you hip and you with it and Jesus is your homie. I don't need you to do all that. I don't need to know if you got hot sauce packets in your wallet or in your man bag or whatever it is you carry. I could care less. I just need you to say what it is your reform is, to please change that name, the lift every voice and sing. I need you to get rid of that. And I need you to just have a clear plan on what you plan to do as president, not only for the nation, but for people that look like me. That's it. That's all I need you to do. I don't need you to do nothing extra. Like, let the others do the extra. Let your mouthpieces do that. Let Simone do that. Let whomever else chooses to campaign for you or with you, let them do all the extra. You just be presidential and say what it is you're going to say, or say what it is you're going to do, put out your plan, and that's it. That's all I need you to do. I don't need you to talk like the homies, nothing, because it just don't look good. Yeah, and I mean, and that's what everything is, well, I was with Obama for 8 years. Yeah, okay, but we get that. But granted, you should not think that you're just going to get our vote just because you was, Obama's sidekick. Like, that's not how this works. And he should know better. He's been in Congress for years. So you should know that. But because, again, you have this attitude to where in which, oh, I got this. We got this in the bag. They're going to vote for me because they like Obama. No, you're different. Again, y'all rock together, yes. But when you're president, that's a whole different thing. You could agree on certain things and not agree on other things. You could change some things around that Obama may have in place that you didn't necessarily agree with, but because he was president at the time, that's what it was. So pay more attention to that than you trying to just say what you're saying, because I'm not feeling it. So that's all I'm saying is, yes, we have to vote. Yes, it is important. Yes, we are out here with health disparities and all these kind of things that are definitely compacting our communities like nobody's business. But at the same time, we don't need you walking around here like you got it in the bag and there's nothing to worry about, because there's plenty to worry about. Because if we, even in the states where you think you got it, if we don't show up, That's it. You got another 4 years of this man that, and if you think this is bad, you give him another 4 years. We're already at unemployment rates for African Americans that he claims that, oh, I heard the African American unemployment rate go down. Yeah, and it's back up. It's even higher than it's ever been at this moment. And yes, it could be, in fact, because of the coronavirus, but note that a lot of people will not be returning back to work once the gears start rolling. Okay. Hertz just filed for bankruptcy. Many other stores, department stores, as well as, commercial restaurants or whatever, are filing for bankruptcies, and some are not even reopening. So we need to keep that in mind. If we definitely think that, oh, it's just going to be a snapback and bam, we back in business, because that's not going to happen. Like I said, a lot of businesses are filing for bankruptcy. Some are closing particular stores and keeping some open. Some are just closing altogether. So everybody's hurting, and the company's bottom line is to save money, and saving money ain't bringing everybody back, hiring them, and then turn around and go, well, hire you back. And now we talking about, pay increases and all that kind of stuff too, which people do deserve. But right now, I'm not sure. Not sure. It's gonna be a tough pill to kind of sell. So I don't know. No, I don't know. Yeah, I mean, you're right, brother Nate. The old brick and mortar stores were in trouble, due to the internet and all that kind of stuff. But they were still, they still did it. They did it, holidays, Christmas time, all that kind of stuff. Somewhat in the summer, just to not be in the house. But no, they're really just, it's really not. It's not looking good. It's just not looking good at all. So I just need people to be focused, know that things are happening behind closed doors that are really turning things. Like I said earlier, you have Mitch McConnell over here saying, hey, I'm not doing no unemployment bonuses with this next round of stimulus, let alone he doesn't even want to do it. Okay, but if he is forced to do it, he has already stated that there will be no unemployment bonuses in it, let alone it barely will be unemployment benefits for anybody. So mainly what they're saying is that at this point, whomever has gotten their money, good for you. Hope you make it work for you, because this next go around, you may not get nothing. So, and it's going to be a tug of war. It is going to be a tug of war at this point. It's going to be a tug of war between the House and the Senate. I mean, that's all it's going to be. So I don't know. It'll be something to watch to see how this all plays out. While, of course, they're in the back end taking Susan Rice. They took her credentials away from her. She no longer has security clearance. They are still talking about trying to go after Obama for criminal charges, as far as him protecting the nation, which he's supposed to do, during the Trump campaign, about his interactions with the Russians, which Bill Barr has said that there won't be any charges filed against the vice president nor the president in that situation. Of course, it is just to put it out there. So, and again, it's the same thing that people do on YouTube. Once you put it out there and say it, some people will just pick it up and go, yeah, that they did say that. Or so-and-so said that. Yeah, I'm going to watch this one because that one. And it could be so far from the truth. But it's just, as long as I can put that seed of doubt in there, that's all you need. So I need people to just be very mindful. If you got to Google, just do your Google thing and, kind of keep yourself abreast and informed of what's going on, because, again, behind the scenes, things are really happening and moving that will affect us. Yeah, we think that nothing is really moving because we're in this state of quarantine and stillness, but at the same time, no, Congress is still flowing. Mitch McConnell is still knocking off federal judges that have been on benches since first Bush, second Bush, Bill Clinton, anybody else, and replacing them with Trump loyalists to ensure that the courts, period, stay conservative. So it's just something to be mindful of and to just definitely just take a peek at. That's all I'm saying. And okay, so lastly, I came across this article that one of my goddaughter had told me about, that I was like, what, really? And shout out to her, because she was trying to help me find art stuff to talk about or whatever. Because at first I wasn't really, to be honest, I wasn't really feeling it, and I was like, but there's so much stuff going on, and sometimes it is a bit overwhelming, and you don't kind of know which way to go, and you're just like, it's just too much. It's a lot. It's crazy. But anyway, came across this article that talked about this flag, and that I did not know that there was a flag for people who engaged in pedophilia. This article is like a year old. It's like a year old. I was about to say 2 years, but it's not quite. It's actually, no, I take that back. It's not even quite a year old yet. It'll be a year old in July, but it basically talks about this flag, with this whole LGBT flag, and then there's the trans flag, and I think there's a heterosexual flag. I don't know. I don't see the hoopla in it. I mean, that's just my personal thing, whatever. But so they have this people who are minor attracted, and I'm just like, what? Why is that even a thing? Why are we even? Why is that even getting airtime? Why is that even being glorified in any way? Like, and then they wonder, and then sometimes I think, just me personally, think that a lot of times the church, or some churches, not the church in general, but some churches are involved in pushing this to then turn around and push their narrative. See, I told you, or push their whole deception. See, I told you. They all are interested in that. That's what they do. They're pedophiles and kind of thing. That's so disgusting. The fact that they even have a flag is ridiculous. The fact that that's even something to consider is absolutely ridiculous. Children need to be protected, and the people that violate them on any level need to be put behind bars, or sometimes worse. So the fact that there's nothing to identify as, there is no reason to have anything identify you other than prisoner number 05728, whatever, so on and so forth, whatever number that state that you are convicted in chooses to give you. That's the only thing that's the only identification I prefer someone to have like that, because I just think that that's just way too much. Way too much. But anyway, so now I open up the floor to you guys. Anybody have any questions, comments, concerns, or something that they came across in their travels that they want to ask or talk about? You are free to. Again, I just ask that you be respectful. That's all. But so let's see. I heard that they were trying to legalize. Right, they were trying to like add it to the LGBT kind of thing, kind of alphabet soup lineup. And I'm just like, don't do that. It's already that, and that's what makes me think like it's that whole the white evangelicals kind of secretly pushing. Excuse me, I hate the dryer. Sorry, that was my dryer. Pushing this kind of on the back end, pushing to have these things like a flag and all, and then turn around and say, "See, look what they're doing. This is so disgusting." And I only say that because this week it came out that the Roe versus Wade, the actual woman who was actually involved in that case, she wrote in a documentary memoir before she passed that she lied. She came back in 1995 and said that she was then against abortions. But in her memoir that she wrote, she basically said that she was paid by the anti-abortion group, Christian group, to lie. And she wound up lying. So to know that, okay, see you later, Miss T. Thank you for stopping by. So to know that, the dollar is mighty and people will, for the almighty dollar, people will do things that they wouldn't, they will go against their principles if they so choose. So, everybody does not have integrity. Everybody is not, it doesn't matter what the money looks like. I'm not going to participate in that. I'm going to stand my ground. Some people don't. Some people, if you put enough money in their pocket, you can change the whole narrative of, what they think, how they say. That's kind of the nature of the game. It's unfortunate, but it happens. So yeah. So that's unfortunate. Yeah, everything has a price. So, you never know. I don't know. It's just crazy to me. Certain things that, if you go as far as to be the groundbreaking case to make abortions legal for people, who are in situations where in which, a rape may have happened or anything, financial hardships, anything, to where you able to do that, then you go back and say, you know what, no, I'm actually against abortions now. And then come to find out later, of course, as you're on your deathbed, you want to say, you know what, no, they paid me to do it. I lied. I'm sorry. Almost reminds me of the older woman involved in the Emmett Till situation, to where in which later on in her deathbed, she came back and said, "Oh, I lied. I'm so sorry, but I don't want to be, I don't want to be harassed. So I'm going to say this and I'll wait till I pass to then hand it to a family member to say, tell the papers and the people, oh yeah, I lied on that man, on that young man, and cost him his life." So I just find it to be ridiculous. Let's see if Biden selects a black man want to make. Yeah, well, I mean, I think it's a little bit of both. And I say that because, one, black women are strong out here as far as voting is concerned. They are. They make up like 90 some odd percent of the Democratic voting bloc. So if he really wants to win, he really has no choice. Like, the only person that would come close to him not picking a black running mate, but being female, would be Elizabeth Warren. That's the only one that I see. And not even because she's so into the culture or anything, but just that she's more with what's going on. She deals in finance and all that kind of stuff. She knows about the disparities and all that kind of stuff. She's the only other one I could see on a political thing, as far as who we're looking at, as far as the people that we already see. Behind the scenes, I'm not sure who he would be looking at. But yeah, I think it would be a bit of a token. But I definitely believe that uh, he would have to, in order to secure the vote from the African American woman. Definitely, he would have to pick someone. And if he doesn't, and he picks a white woman, it should be Elizabeth Warren. And if that, then they need to be pushing her out to smooth over some that really did not, that really didn't see it for her, to kind of get her to a place where they see it, they see her. Um, let's see. If Biden chooses a woman of color as VP, do you think it would be more qualified? More qualified than whom? I mean, they would have to. I could see them just shredding apart anybody who is not almost like Barack caliber. And that's the only reason why I would say like Stacey Abrams has Barack caliber kind of credentials behind her schooling. Even dealing with her finances, how she, is taking care of her family members and doing all that, and still trying to run a campaign and ran into some financial issues. That's a little more relatable, but I don't see where in which it would have to be somebody like really good, because they'll tear into it. The only reason why they couldn't really tear into Obama is because of what he did, what he accomplished, what him and Michelle have just by themselves, the accolades and the things that they have. So they couldn't really, they went for things like features and, every little speech or something they gave, if it was too talking about community, that they don't believe in the United States, they're against America. No, that's not it, because they don't have anything to go on. If he picks somebody just to pick somebody and doesn't vet them properly, it could hurt him. So he has to be very, very, very careful. But again, he can't continue with these, as they say, these gaffes either, these total lapse of judgment and saying things just to say them, to be that off the hook, like as Trump does, that people find to be so interesting, where he just talks and talks and talks and talks, and they feel like he's relatable, but he doesn't know what he's talking about. That's the problem. So yeah. Hey Q's World, how you doing? So I don't know. I just find it to be a bit of a mess. Just a bit of a mess. Who knows? But anyway, I'd like to thank you guys for hanging out with me for this episode of the recap. Be sure to, of course, check out all of the other platforms. We all share something, or we all, give something that is different in every facet. And I think we need to start supporting one another. Granted, we may not all agree with everything everybody says, because we're human. That's how it rolls. But those you do agree with or fall in line with, continue to support them. If they happen to disagree with somebody else, don't stop supporting them because they do. You just have a difference of opinion at that moment, and that's fine. That's the way it should be. Everybody should not be, we should not have a group of yes people. You don't grow that way. You grow from getting criticism and taking it and, getting better and growing. So just keep that in mind. Again, make sure you do your census. If that has not come to you yet, it should. If not, and you don't feel like, mailing or anything like that, because, you're concerned about all of that, you can do it online as well. So please, 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 I implore you to do that. Check out your voter registration. Make sure it is still correct. For those of you who may have moved, make sure that you're checking your address and everything is spot on, because they'll do anything and try to do anything to keep your vote uncounted. So please, please, please make sure you do that. If he elects black or white VP, I hope black people benefit from this election. Yeah, me too. It is important that we make sure that we benefit in every election. Again, not only in the presidential, but in your local elections where it really matters for your state that you live in. You make sure that you vote, you pay attention, you try to go to the town halls if they're holding, or your local listings will have local debates, usually on those public access channels. And try to tune into those and pay attention and, try to watch those. They don't get many views and they don't get, the popular kind of thing that like the CNNs and the MSNBCs and all those kind of debates get, but really try to catch one every so often when it runs around election time, because you get to know the candidate that will really be speaking for you, because that one in the White House speaks for the nation. It doesn't really speak for you. The people that speak for you live in your state. And whether they speak for you in a positive way or they speak for you in a negative way, those are the people that are in charge and really making those gears move on whether or not you get certain funding or you don't get funding. So definitely start paying attention to that, because it is very important. So important. Your local elections are very important to the growth of our communities and your state. So definitely want to do that. And I think if nobody else has any other question or comment or concern, like I said, I just want to thank everybody for coming through. Thank all the content creators that came in. Again, make sure we support each other. Please make sure you're being safe, keeping your distance from people, wearing your mask when you come in close contact with people. But I mean, if you're in your car by yourself or, just running around, you don't really have to wear your mask like that. Keep it on you or near you when you are going into public places or places where, if you're in the park and there's some distance from you and people, I wouldn't. But if you're coming up on somebody or they're coming close to you, then pull it up. And, as you walk away and get a couple feet away, you can pull it back down. Because remember, we do need to breathe in the air. We do need to, get the oxygen into our lungs. So, we don't want to get caught up in having the mask on all the time. Because we do ourselves a disservice by doing that, because of course then we're breathing in more O2 than we should, and that could also be a problem. So just be mindful. That's all. Just really be mindful, and make sure, of course, that we're always washing our hands every time you touch something, wiping down your groceries and stuff, because that's definitely something that I myself, before all this, did not do. It was just like you get the groceries and you put them in the refrigerator, or you put them in the cabinet. You didn't think about putting, wiping your groceries down, or the hands that have touched your groceries before, they were placed in the bag, and then you took them home and put them in the cabinet or put them in the refrigerator or wherever you put them. I know myself, I didn't think about it. So this has brought a different type of awareness. That's what I said. Everything is not negative. There's some blessings in this that can change us, for the better. To just be mindful, and do the mask, as Brother Nate was saying in the chat. Do the mask as a common courtesy. That's that's all it is. You want to protect somebody who's coming in contact with you from them, and them from you. You just that common courtesy. And then if you're out doing yard work or whatever, and it's just you could really just be out there. Especially if you're doing yard work around plants and stuff and all that kind of stuff. You don't need that. Let the plants take your O2 while you take in their oxygen. Like, just chill out. Um, but that's all I have, guys. Again, thank you guys for coming through, and continue to have a blessed weekend. Be safe and just relax and be at peace. And hope to see you guys on Tuesday for Politics and Wellness with Mr. Credential. And of course, Thursday for the Gentleman's Panel, which will be on King Payne's channel. Sorry about that. What did you ask? How do you feel about the messaging? Oh, yeah. Oh, about that. Oh, see, I was going to go. Thank you, Brother Nate. I caught it just in time. About the church reopening. Interesting. I don't know. Something with Michelle's daughter, something with YouTube is doing that, because that happened to me too, where I couldn't see the chat. But if you pop out and pop back in, you should be able to see the chat again. But it was doing that to me too. How do I feel about the mandate of the churches being back open? That's the money part of this whole thing, pushing that. And, because these anti-abortion, anti-gay Christian groups funnel money into his presidency, he has to abide by them. And they're not making any money because the people aren't coming out to the church. So they're hurting, and they're not hurting for nothing. Because, I think clearly they have enough money to where in which, their church makes enough revenue to where in which they should be okay. But no, they still want more money, and they want your stimulus money. And they figure you got it, so why can't we get it? God wants a piece of it. But right. But to me, anything if everything is God's, anything that you give would be offering it to God, in my estimation. And of course, it's just me. But again, I don't get caught up in the building of the church rather than the thing. I enjoy watching church online. I get to get comfortable and be in my own place with the people that I've been around. So I'm comfortable with that. I'm not subjecting myself or anybody who is different from me to something. And I think this rush to, churches are essential. How are churches, the building, essential? Because again, if church was so essential while we were in this moment, then the leaders of these set flocks would be able to, or should have been able to, go around and make sure their parishioners were okay. And if they were getting free testing from whatever agency or company that they were affiliated with through their members or whomever, then they should have been able to tell their parishioners, hey, we're doing a testing for so-and-so and so-and-so. You could come here and get tested if you like. We got a couple of members who are in the medical field, and they've volunteered their time to do some testing. That's what you should have been doing. But instead, we're so hungry to get your money out of your pockets that we're going to force the president to mandate that churches be open. So now I don't know what that member has. That member doesn't know what I have. We're coming together in faith, but coming together, and then all of a sudden somebody, God forbid, gets sick, and then what? And then what are you going to say then? Oh, well, they didn't have no faith, or using that as a, see, the at home people not believing in God. How? I really don't understand. If God puts people in places, then believe that God's put people in places. If he puts doctors and nurses and all these other things in places, then why can't that be of God too? Why can it only be of God in certain instances, but not in this? It just doesn't make any sense to me. Yeah, and then you put older members in jeopardy. You just do. And I just think that's irresponsible. It's irresponsible of not only the government, who shouldn't even be getting involved in this in the first place, but again, it's all about the money, so of course they will, but of the churches, of the church as a whole. It's irresponsible. It just is. There's no reason to mandate that church should be open. Now, if you want to have service outside and make sure that the seats are 6 feet apart or everybody sits in their car because you need to have that physical interaction where you need to look over and see Deacon Johnson and Deaconess Smith and all these people in their cars, and it makes you feel better about yourself or makes the congregation feel better, then y'all need to work that out. But to have people interacting that have not been tested and have all this going on, I think is you do your congregation, you do your community a disservice, because then you send those same people home to people who may not attend that church to possibly being infected, which then creates more of a thing. And we're already dealing with this on a level of impact. Why do we keep needing to increase it? It's almost like, you're making sure that if you're not affected, if you're not affected at this point, that you will get infected. Even with the vaccine push, if it's already affecting us now, and some of us have it, some of us don't, some of us asymptomatic, and we don't know, getting the vaccine, if it's not properly vetted and tested, okay, you then might wind up getting far more people infected, far more people dying. So it all, without it being proper, it all can be detrimental to some degree. Did you hear about the church that was burned down? I believe the church was ignoring the stay home order. Yeah, and then that too, a lot of what's happening even in Chicago, Mayor Lightfoot has said that they're going to start giving fines to churches, giving citations to churches that want to stay open during this shutdown, that they will go around finding churches. So then it's like, okay, if you're that hard pressed to get this money from these people and not set up some sort of streaming service or something to where in which you're not putting all of your parishioners at risk, then you will be fined. I don't see the problem in that. I really don't. I don't understand the push, and maybe somebody can explain it and make it make sense to me, but I don't see the push in making people do that, like having the people come to the church when these same people are not people a lot of times that can afford to be driving. Some of them are taking public transportations to your mega churches anyway. So then how are they able to do this? They already live in communities where in which they don't even have access to proper health care, if they have health care at all to begin with. So then why would you then continue to subject them to this? And I get it. A lot of people use their faith as a source of empowerment and encouragement and all that sort of thing. Then set up something. Do the prayer lines like they used to do back in the days and all those type of things. You have all these outlets of social media to do video conferences and all this kind of stuff. Use that to expound your message and, make sure your members get, whatever they need. But just play it safe. Just why not be safe? Why keep pushing to have these people come in there? You have these pastors violating the law to what? Be looked at as martyrs, but they're breaking the law. So I don't understand. It doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense to me. Really doesn't. It doesn't make sense. Okay, but that's it. I think I'm done now. That is it. But anyway, thanks again for everybody who stuck around for this little bit of rant. But I am definitely gonna go. Again, make sure you guys tune in to Politics and Wellness on Tuesday night at 8:05, where myself and Mr. Credential will be hosting, basically going over, again, politics and mental health and wellness, which is always important to make sure not only are we checking in on what our people are doing and what's going on in our nation, but also what's going on in our mental health and how to, and little tools and steps that we need to do to just make ourselves, be better. So, and with that said, I wish you guys a great Saturday evening. Enjoy, be safe, and God bless. Peace.